Can you prove the existence of God? Well, no, of course not. That's been well established by now. So why do the religious keep talking about it like we ought to expect that they can? Because it's all just a shell game. They've got nothing, and they know it. Stand by for yet more proof that this is true. Here comes another tiny little channel, this time called Faith Colloquium. They want to ask if we can prove the existence of God, which, of course, we know they can't. They never can. They don't even bother to try anymore. There is no evidence, they just have bald assertions that don't stand up to a moment's critical scrutiny. You know, just like always. So let's go find out why faith and feelings always trump facts and evidence in the itty-bitty little minds of the believers. I'd ask why they keep shooting themselves in the foot, but I don't think that even they know why.
Can you prove that God exists?
If he did exist, then yes, you should be able to prove or at least rationally defend the idea that God exists. Because anything that is demonstrably real has evidence to back it up. And guess what? There isn't any evidence of any kind for any God. And that ought to tell you something.
Sometimes you hear people say that there's no way of proving that there's a God. What exactly do they mean when they say this?
It means that they believe for emotional, not intellectual reasons. It doesn't really matter to them if their God actually exists. It just makes them feel good, so they insist that he does. But I think some part of them knows that there's just no good rational reason to think that any of it is true. Therefore, they just section that part of their brain off from rational challenge and declare that it's just gotta be right, even though there isn't any reason to think that it is. Plus, I think these people get tired of failing to answer credible challenges against their beliefs. So, they eventually just give up. They arbitrarily declare their deity beyond intellectual evaluation, but hey, he's still real, right? He has to be real. It makes me feel good, so he has to be real. It's just more feelings over facts nonsense.
Do they mean you can't prove with absolute 100% certainty that God exists?
No, you can't prove it at all. There isn't a shred of evidence anywhere that shows that any specific God exists, period. It's all just a complete fantasy. And this bothers a lot of people, as it should. It ought to bother you that your beliefs are so ridiculously beyond corroboration, but it doesn't. It just means that your beliefs are wrong, and you don't care. But hey, I'm sure our apologist here, he's not going to go along with that, will he?
Well, of course that's true. But that's true about most of our beliefs. We can't prove with absolute certainty most of what we believe.
Well, then it's a good thing nobody actually makes that claim. But you can certainly prove that most of the things we rationally believe are likely to be true. They are evidentially supported. We can support them with objective reasoning and evidence. We can test them against the fabric of objective reality. They stand up to rational scrutiny. Gods do not. They simply do not. Your God doesn't stand up to anything. It relies on blind faith. And blind faith is idiotic.
Or maybe they mean there's no evidence for God's existence, and you simply have to believe in God through blind faith.
Which is really just dumb. Blind faith gets you nowhere demonstrable. You can have blind faith in anything, even the most ridiculously absurd things imaginable. You know, like gods. Faith is never a virtue, and the blinder it is, the less virtuous it becomes. No one should be proud of having faith. That just means that what you believe is likely not true. If it was true, you could support it with anything rational. You wouldn't need faith. Knock it off.
But of course, that's not true. There's plenty of logically valid philosophical arguments such that the premises are true and the conclusion follows.
And that's simply not the case. Now, I did a very long 4-part series examining religious philosophical claims, and every single solitary one of them fails rationally. Beyond the entirely faulty premises that they all, without exception, have, the conclusion on every single one of them is, therefore God. Sorry, you can't just declare your personal deity to be responsible without showing that it's your own personal deity that did it. And to do that, you have to prove your deity is real. You could just insert, therefore Cthulhu, and not change the argument any. Even if those arguments were logically valid, and they're not, the closest they can get you is maybe a deistic God. It doesn't get you to any religion's personalized version. And of course, you can't prove anything about reality with philosophy. But when it's the only thing your emotional beliefs have, you use it for everything, whether it holds up intellectually or not. It's all just hammers and nails.
Can you prove that God exists for certain? No.
Or in any other way. You just can't. It's all bald rationalization.
But can you demonstrate that God exists through arguments? Yes.
No, you cannot. Go watch my series. It is absurdly easy to tear these pathetic claims down because they don't stand up to a moment's critical scrutiny. They just don't. Your wishing they did doesn't make them do so. And you notice that he never bothered to present any of these philosophical arguments that are particularly convincing to him, right? It just has to be true because it makes him and his followers feel good. And that's really what this is all about. It never fails to amaze me or disgust me just how dumb these people really are. All claims presented without support, aimed at other believers, because fifis. And somehow that's supposed to be impressive. I'm not sure why, and I don't think they know either. And I noticed that this channel has a lot of interviews and videos about other people interspersed with tiny little videos making irrational claims. Again, how is this worthwhile to anyone with half a brain? Someone, please explain. I just don't get it.